Event tracking in Google Tag Manager, in my opinion, is the most powerful and useful thing that you can be doing with the Google Tag Manager platform. In this episode, I'll cover what is event tracking, why you should be doing it, and how to set it up in Google Tag Manager and Google Analytics. Alright, let's get started with setting up event tracking in Google Tag Manager. Before we get started, it's critical to understand what event tracking is and how it actually works with your website. So, event tracking allows you to track specific elements and events that occur on your website, such as link clicks, button clicks, downloads, for example, someone downloading a PDF guide off your website, your forms being submitted, when people play videos on your website, and much, much more. Those are just some of the most common examples of event tracking. Now, the key thing to understand here, with this video in particular, and really with any video in this series and beyond, is that all of this tracking data is absolutely useless if your tracking goals are not aligned with your business growth goals. There's really three key questions you need to ask yourself before you get started with event tracking and conversion tracking on your website. Number one is, how much do I want to grow? How much do I want to grow my business by, and by what time frame? Number two, what are the results that I need to achieve in order to achieve this growth goal? Specifically, what type of actions need to happen with my website and with my online audience for this greater growth goal to be achieved? Number three, and most importantly, how will I track and measure these goals so that I can report on if I've achieved the result or my objective, or if I have not? So here's how we answer these questions for our clients at Web3 before we get started with any type of online media or marketing work for them. We do two things. Number one, we conduct something called an opportunity analysis. Number two, we also create what's called an online KPI roadmap. I'm going to walk you through both of these exercises and give you an example of a business that this can be deployed in to hopefully better explain how this works for you. Alright, so let's get started with the opportunity analysis. So, I have a greater business growth goal. Let's role play here. I want to achieve in 12 months $3 million in new revenue. I know that my average value per client, or my average revenue generated per client, is $25,000 over a 12-month period. I know that from that $25,000 that my average profit per client is $10,000, again across that 12-month window. So if I want to gain an additional $3 million in new revenue across a 12-month period, I need to win 10 new clients per month at an average value per client of $25,000. I know that my lead to sale conversion rate is approximately on average 50%. Therefore, I need 20 new leads per month, which I'm going to then convert 50% of them into those 10 new clients that I need at $25,000 to get my 3 mil. I know my average website conversion rate is around about 1%. Therefore, I'm going to need at least 2,000 website visitors a month to get that 20 new leads per month. That is, converting 2,000 visitors at 1% on the website is going to get me those 20 new leads per month I need. Let's run the example of if we were to do this through paid advertising. Let's say that the average cost per click to get those 2,000 visitors to my website is $7. I believe that's going to produce around about a $14,000 advertising budget per month. However, if we're going to achieve $100,000 in profit, that's $10,000 in profit across 10 clients per month. So we're achieving $100,000 in business profit for an investment of $14,000 in ad spend. That's giving me a 714% return on investment. Not bad at all, right? So here I've walked you through an exercise of where we've looked at the opportunity, the marketing and advertising opportunity at hand. I've plugged in some assumptions, I've plugged in some known data to then create a scenario for us to then go forward and create what's called the KPI roadmap. This is where we want to go. The KPI roadmap will break down how we actually achieve it. All right, let's walk through it together. What's the business growth goal? increase new revenue by $3 million in 12 months. What's the target volume? 10 new clients per month at an average client value of $25,000. Now, let's break down that 10 new clients per month. I'm converting 50%. That means I need 20 leads a month, 20 new leads a month. There's 3 points of conversion on my website that I need to be tracking. Number 1, consultation bookings. The first step in my sales process is to get clients to book in that consultation. Number 2 is inquiry contacts via email or via my contact form. I know not everyone's going to book a consultation right off the bat, so therefore I want them to inquire, or therefore I know people are going to come through on my contact form, which is going to lead to me eventually bringing them in as an inquiry to book that consultation. Number 3 is direct phone calls. I know a decent chunk of inquiries come through people simply just calling us and wanting to book in that initial meeting. So I'm taking that goal of 20 new leads per month, I'm spreading it across now to create 3 key KPIs. That is 10 consultation bookings per month, 5 inquiries via email or contact form, 5 inquiries via phone call. That's giving me, in total, those 20 new leads per month. Now we move on to the next step, which is breaking down the goals that we now need to set to track on our website to see if we are achieving these KPIs or not. Number 1, okay, I have a consultation or an appointment booking tool or software on my website, and when someone books in a meeting, that initial consultation, it redirects them to a dedicated thank you page. I can then, inside Google Analytics, set up a destination goal for every person that lands on that consultation booking thank you page. I can attribute that as a consultation booking conversion. Number 2, for my inquiries that come through a contact form, when they complete the contact form, I'm redirecting them to a dedicated contact page thank you URL on my website. As what I did with the consultation booking, I can set up a destination goal to attribute each contact form completion as a conversion towards my contact inquiry target of 5 per month. You can even do this with your phone numbers on your website. You can enable a function called click to call. That is, when someone clicks on your phone number, it fires up their voice over IP, or if they're on a mobile device, they see your phone number, they tap on it to then call your business. This is called a click to call link. I can then set my click to call links as an event tracking goal or event tracking click event, which means that every time someone taps my phone number on my website, I'm attributing that as a captured inquiry phone call. The final one is you can apply the same type of click event tracking to your mail to links. If you have an email link in your website footer or on your contact page, and when people click on that email link to open up their email messaging tool to send you an email, you can count those actions as an event that can then attribute to your KPI. In our case, the scenario that we're working with here is we want to achieve 5 email inquiries or 5 contact and email inquiries per month. If we have an email address on our website, we want to be tracking the people that are hitting it so we can count those hits as event conversions. One quick thing to clarify before moving forward is that there's a middle layer between our KPIs and these goals. If you're running a website that has a decent amount of traffic, you would probably realize that your fair bit of contact or fair bit of information you get on your contact forms is spammers. So there has to be a lead quality filter to actually give us a true KPI, which is true sales qualified leads. So there's a way you can do that, and we mainly do this through offline checking of conversions to distribute the ones that are actually qualified conversions versus ones that are unqualified conversions. This is a really key thing to make sure you get right with your tracking, is you're not counting every conversion as a conversion, because there's 2 types. There's qualified conversions, there's unqualified conversions. The final layer, and this is optional depending on how your business is, but for example, if we are running both an organic search and a paid search advertising campaign, we want to make sure that we have our tracking segments set up so we can compare and contrast our conversions and KPIs that are being achieved through organic search versus paid search. If your business is active in two different geographic locations, for example, Australia and the United States, or if you have a multilingual website, then you'd want to set up your different locations and countries as segments to track the different conversions by country. If you're running a remarketing campaign, a useful segment would be repeat visitors that have come back to the website through remarketing that have converted versus new with visitors that have converted without any remarketing involved. And finally, one that we always like to set up is a mobile versus desktop segment to see which conversions are coming from mobile versus desktop. Let's move on to understanding exactly what makes up an event inside Google Analytics and then how we can track this inside Google Tag Manager. Events consist of 4 elements. Number 1 is a category. Number 2 is action. Number 3 is labels. And number 4 is value. Breaking that down, a category defines what the event is. I'll give you the example, the click to call link. In this case, it's a call. We can categorize that event firing as it's a call, a phone call. The action is what the user takes in order to trigger that event. So in this case, if we're setting up a click to call event, the action the user needs to take is a click. They need to click on that phone link, click or tap, should I say, in order to fire or attribute that event goal. Number 2 is the label, and this can be used to help give further contextualized information as where this event is happening on your website. We usually attribute the label to the actual page source. So what that means is when you pull up the event conversion goal, the label that we print on it is the actual place where that goal occurred, or the place or the page on your website, should I say, where that goal was captured. Number 4, the value goal. This is mainly for e-commerce if the event that you're taking results in a direct monetary amount. For example, someone hitting the checkout button and literally paying for the product, want to be able to attribute that event to a specific dollar value. In the case of a phone call, although you could go as far as saying that each inbound phone inquiry has an average dollar value for you, if you know that number, you can set that, but in the case where you don't, it's better off to leave this blank. Let's now take that and apply it to setting up the click-to-call event in Google Analytics. Okay, from our KPI roadmap, we know a goal we need to be tracking on our website is inquiries from phone calls. The type of goal we're going to set up is a click event, and the click event that we'll be setting this on is our website click-to-call links. The category that we're going to set this event up under will be a call. The action the user will take to trigger this event will be a click. The label that we want to attribute this event to will be the page URL that the event was captured on, and we're going to leave the value blank because it doesn't apply to us in this scenario with this event. Now, one thing I wanted to address before moving forward is why do we need to involve Google Tag Manager here? Can't we just do this all in Google Analytics? And well, you're absolutely correct. You can do this all in Google Analytics and set up event tracking directly on your website without needing to involve Google Tag Manager. The reason why we recommend using Google Tag Manager is unless you're reasonably comfortable with handling JavaScript and then manipulating your website source code to include the JavaScript required to capture these events into Analytics, then you can completely sidestep that by using Google Tag Manager, as it requires no code in order to set up the event triggers. So for example, if we were to apply this click-to-call link tracking on all of our click-to-call links inside our website, we would need to apply a little bit of JavaScript to every one of these links to make sure that when these links are clicked, it's going to actually pull this data out and send it into our analytics report so then we can see those events captured. With Google Tag Manager, on the other hand, all we have to do is set up a couple of parameters and variables in the WYSIWYG editor. We don't have to touch any code. In my opinion, it's much faster, it's much easier to do, and when it comes to testing these things, it's, in my opinion, a little bit more reliable than doing it the old-fashioned way. Alright, now I'm going to show you how to build a click-to-call event tracking trigger on a website. Here I've got a demonstration website I've set up under my personal domain. It's a WordPress website that has Google Analytics integrated through it through Google Tag Manager that we set up in the previous episode. If you're not sure how to do this, feel free to check out the previous episodes in this series to learn how to do it. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to start off inside our Google Analytics account for this website. Now the first thing we're going to do is go to the admin section. We have our working view here selected. We're going to open up the goals section. We're going to create a new goal. We're going to select custom from the goal types. And we're going to call that goal phone inquiry click to call. And we're going to set that goal as a event type. Next, we're going to fill out the goal tracking details. As we showed in the previous steps in this episode, the category we're going to give it is call. The action will be click. I'm actually going to leave the label and value parameters blank in this instance. I'm now going to go ahead and save that goal. And there we go. We have it done inside Google Analytics. Now, how to actually get this goal to be registered on our website? Well, we're going to do that inside our Google Tag Manager account that we've already set up. So first things first, if you haven't done this before, you need to go to your Google Tag Manager variable settings. You're going to have to open up the configure section, and you want to go to the clicks area, and you want to turn all of these items on. So switch all of your click variables on. Now, once you've done that, go back to your tag section. You want to then hit the new button. We're going to call this one the GA for Global Google Analytics click to call. The tag that we're going to attribute to this is the Google Analytics tag. Since we've already integrated the Google Analytics script into our website and have set it up as a variable, we simply just need to select that. Now the track type, we're not tracking page views anymore. We want to be tracking event actions. Now this is really the most important part to get right. We have to match 100% exactly the category and action that we set inside Google Analytics. And if we don't do that, it's not going to send this data into our Google Analytics report. So we've got to make sure we get this 100% correct. The category was call, the action was click. For the actual label section, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the page path here as the label. This will pick it up and print it into my Google Analytics account. I'm going to leave the value blank. And everything else can remain the same. Now to set up trigger conditions, we're actually going to need to create a custom trigger for this to work. The reason being is we have to set a trigger that's only going to fire this event when a user clicks on a click to call link in our website. So let's go ahead and set up this custom trigger. We're going to call it click to call trigger. The trigger configuration, it's going to be adjust links, or we're going to use the adjust links type because this trigger is only going to need to work on link clicks. Now we're going to set some validation to this trigger. We're going to change the trigger firing conditions to some link clicks, and then we're going to change the click URL, or we're going to change the firing conditions to click URL, and the click URL starts with tell semicolon. Why tell semicolon? I'm going to go back to the website here. I'm going to actually open this up in the source code, and I'll show you here. If we go tell semicolon, you can see that this link has got, or how it works, we've got a href open tag to define the link class, then we have tell semicolon, then a made up phone number. This is basically telling the computer or telling the browser that this number here, 12341234, is a phone number. And you'll see when I actually click on this, it tries to open up FaceTime or your instant messaging, whatever you've set as your default. If you're on your phone, it will open up your actual dial log to call from. So as you can see here, this is the only place where we have tell semicolon used to start the link. So that means, going back to Tag Manager, that only links that start with tell semicolon, which in our case will only ever be the click to call links, only fire our Google Analytics event on links that start with tell semicolons. So that's how we set it up so it only collects the event data from these click to call links. Now that we have that created, we're going to save it. That's now done. Save the actual tag. Now we've configured the trigger to it. I'm going to go ahead and now enable the preview mode inside Google Tag Manager. With the preview mode enabled, I'm going to go back to my website. I'm going to go and refresh the page. Now we see we have the preview window enabled. I'm going to go ahead now and actually click this link. And as you can see, the moment I click this link, we can see in our preview window has now fired successfully the click to call tag. You see if I click anywhere, if I click any other thing on this website, I click this search button here, it's not firing. So that means we have our trigger configured successfully. I'm actually going to go back and double check this. I'm going to go to Google Analytics now. I'm going to open up my real-time report and then go to events. And as you can see, it's registered that event click right there, just about when I clicked it. Keep in mind, once you've built this event tracking, it won't show up in your conversion goal reports. For a little while, it won't be instantaneous like the real-time view, but I know through what I've just checked that it's working, and it's going to pass through this event tracking data into my Google Analytics conversion goal reports as a result. So there you have it. That was how to do event tracking in Google Tag Manager and Google Analytics. If you want to learn more about Google Tag Manager, then we'll be releasing a new episode every week. So subscribe to this channel so you don't miss out on the latest episodes. As always, if you enjoyed this episode, please leave a comment below. If you have any questions about Google Tag Manager, let me know. I'll be more than happy to help you out. And if you need help with Google Tag Manager and growing your business, check out my digital agency, Web3. I'm James Banks from Web3, and I'll see you in the next episode.